On my birthday, I sent a message to my family hoping for just a little love. My son coldly replied, "We need distance. Don't contact us again." His wife even gave it a like. That night, I quietly blocked them, not just on my phone, but from the family fortune they'd been draining for years. The very next morning, 3 months ago, I was a 68-year-old widow living in a Park Avenue apartment that still smells like my late husband Robert's cologne if you open the right closet. Robert left us 5 years ago, and with him went the laughter that used to fill this place. But he also left us comfortable, real comfortable. A family trust fund that could keep my son Michael, his wife Nora, and their two kids Emma and Jake living the high life in Westchester. Private schools, a dream house, Nora's endless shopping sprees, all on my dime. I didn't mind at first. I thought that's what love looked like, writing checks, saying yes, being the mom who always came through. I was wrong, so wrong. I used to drive out to Westchester every Sunday for family dinner, my old Mercedes humming along the highway, my heart full of hope that this time they'd see me. Not just the checkbook, but me, Dorothy, the woman who raised Michael, who bandaged his scraped knees and cheered at his soccer games. But somewhere along the line, things shifted. Michael stopped calling unless he needed something. Nora barely looked up from her phone when I visited, too busy texting contractors about their latest home renovation. Emma and Jake, my sweet grandkids, 12 and 14, were polite but distant, like I was a guest they had to tolerate. I saw the signs, but I ignored them. I told myself, this is family. You sacrifice for family. God, I was naive. The wake-up call came on my birthday. I'd spent the day before in my kitchen, arthritic hands wrestling with a mixing bowl to make Michael's favorite chocolate cake, the same one I'd baked every year since he was 5. It was a labor of love, each stir a memory of his little hands sneaking batter, his giggles filling the room. I texted him that morning, "Cake's ready whenever you want to stop by." Simple, right? I waited all day, peeking out my window every time a car passed, hoping to see his silver BMW. My phone stayed silent. Morning bled into afternoon, then evening, then another sleepless night. That cake sat on my counter for 3 days, getting staler by the hour, just like my hope. On the 4th day, I couldn't take it anymore. I scraped that cake, Robert's favorite recipe, into the garbage disposal, tears burning my eyes. That's when it hit me like a punch to the gut. My own son forgot my birthday. Not just late, not distracted, forgotten. I'd spent decades putting him first. When he got divorced, I paid his legal fees. When he married Nora, I funded their Italian honeymoon. When they couldn't afford their Westchester dream house, I wrote a $200,000 check without a second thought. And this was my reward. Silence on the one day that should have mattered. I was pouring my second cup of coffee, still raw from throwing out that cake, when my phone buzzed. Michael's name lit up the screen, and for a split second, my foolish heart leapt. Maybe he'd realized, maybe he was sorry. Then I read his text, "Hey mom, happy birthday. Sorry, it's a few days late. You should have reminded me about it." I stared at those words, my hands shaking, something cold and hard settling in my chest where love used to live. You should have reminded me. Like it was my job to make sure my own son remembered the day I brought him into this world. Like I was some acquaintance he could brush off with a half-assed apology. I read that text for 10 minutes straight, each word carving deeper into me. The old Dorothy would have typed back something sweet, something forgiving. "Oh, honey, don't worry. These things happen." She would have invited him over, probably baked another damn cake. But that Dorothy was gone, buried under the weight of that stale chocolate cake and a lifetime of being taken for granted. Instead, I picked up my phone and called my lawyer, James Richardson. "Dorothy," James said, his voice warm but cautious, "what can I do for you today?" "I need to make changes to the family trust," I said, surprised by how steady my voice was. "How quickly can you stop the distributions to Michael?" A pause. James knew about the monthly payments to Michael's family, mortgage, car payments, Nora's credit cards. He'd set them up after Robert died. May I ask what prompted this? I almost laughed. What prompted it? 20 years of being a doormat, a forgotten birthday, a text that treated me like an inconvenience. Let's just say I've had a change of perspective. James worked fast. By that afternoon, the automatic transfers to Michael's accounts were cut off, no warning, no explanation. Why should I explain? They'd never asked where the money came from, never questioned if I could afford their lifestyle, never once said thank you. For the first time in years, I felt powerful, like I was holding the cards instead of holding them. 6 days later, I was sipping tea in my favorite armchair, savoring the quiet, when my phone lit up. Michael. I let it go to voicemail. He called again and again. By the 4th call, I was almost amused. Where was this urgency when it was my birthday? A text followed, "Mom, please pick up. There's been some kind of mistake with a bank." Mistake, that's what he called it. I poured myself a glass of wine and settled back, letting him sweat. Lord knows, I'd sweated enough over the years, wondering if I was enough for a son who couldn't be bothered to remember me. By midnight, he called 47 times. Nora called 6. They left 14 voicemails, each one more desperate than the last. The first few were confused. "Mom, I think there's a banking error. Call me back." By the 7th, it was worry. "Mom, the mortgage payment bounced. We need to figure this out." By the 12th, panic. "Dorothy, this is Nora. We need to talk now." The last one at 11:47 p.m. was Michael, voice cracking, "Mom, I know you're angry about the birthday thing. I'm sorry. Okay, but this isn't funny. We need that money. We need that money. Not we miss you. Not we love you. Just we need that money." It was the truest thing he'd ever said to me, and it broke something inside me, but it also set me free. I turned off my phone and slept better than I had in years. The next morning, I was woken by pounding on my apartment door at 7:30 a.m. I took my time, slipping into a soft sweater and my favorite pearls. If Michael and Nora wanted a fight, I'd face them with dignity. Through the peephole, I saw them. Michael pacing, Nora clutching her designer purse like a shield. I opened the door with a smile. "Good morning, dears. What brings you by so early?" Michael pushed past me, Nora storming in behind him. "Mom, what the hell is going on?" he demanded. "The bank says all transfers from your accounts have stopped. Our mortgage bounced, our car payments bounced, bounced. Nora's credit cards are declined. Would you like some coffee? I asked, my voice calm as I walked to the kitchen. We don't want coffee, Nora snapped. We want to know why you cut off our money without warning. Our money, like my life's savings, my husband's legacy, was theirs by right. I measured coffee grounds slowly, letting them stew in their own panic. I've been thinking, I said, conversational, about family dynamics, financial responsibility, basic courtesy. You know, things like remembering important dates. Michael shifted, uncomfortable. Mom, if this is about your birthday. Oh, it's about so much more. I cut in, turning to face them. Do you know the last time either of you asked how I'm doing? 14 months? 14 months since you treated me like a person instead of a bank account. They stared, blank face. You invite me to dinners where you ignore me while discussing renovations I'm paying for, vacations I'm funding, schools I'm subsidizing. I continued. I'm not a guest, Nora. I'm the entertainment, the old lady you tolerate because she writes the checks. Michael sank onto the couch, the fight draining out of him. Mom, I know we haven't been attentive, but cutting us off. That's extreme. Extreme. I laughed, sharp and cold. Let me put this in perspective. I pulled a folder from my desk. In the 5 years since Robert died, I've given your family $847,000 in direct payments. That's not counting gifts, holidays, or the $200,000 house down payment. Nearly $1 million. In return, you've visited me 32 times. That's $26,000 per visit. I've attended 14 family events where I felt like an obligation, $60,000 per event. You've called to ask about my well-being 7 times in 5 years, Michael, but you've called to ask for money 43 times. The numbers hung in the air like a guillotine. Nora went pale, Michael speechless. The financial arrangement we had was based on love and respect, I said. When you stop providing those, I stop providing money. Simple economics. Nora found her voice, venomous. You can't abandon your family because your feelings got hurt. I'm not abandoning anyone, I said, meeting her eyes. I'm requiring the same courtesy I've shown you. Acknowledgement, appreciation, basic decency. If that's too much, maybe we need to rethink what family means. Michael tried a softer approach, that old wheedling tone from his childhood. Mom, we can do better. We can call more, visit more. But we need that money. The house, the kids' schools, everything depends on it. Everything you've built depends on my generosity, I corrected. And generosity requires gratitude, not entitlement. I stood, smoothing my sweater. Here's my offer. You have 30 days to show me I'm more than a funding source. Not through fake calls or visits, but genuine interest in me as a person. If I feel valued, we can discuss resuming some support. Not a blank check, but something reasonable. If I smell manipulation, the offer's off permanently. Nora's composure cracked. What are we supposed to do in the meantime? The mortgage, the cars, the tuition, the same thing millions of families do, I said. Get jobs, downsize, live within your means. The word job hit Nora like a slap. She'd never worked a day since marrying Michael. 30 days, I repeated. And don't insult my intelligence with performances. They left, Nora fuming, Michael stunned. I poured a glass of wine and felt something I hadn't in years. Control. The next day, the charade began. Michael called, voice dripping with fake concern. Hi, Mom, just checking on you. How's your health? I nearly laughed. He'd never asked that without an ulterior motive. Emma called later, my 14-year-old granddaughter reciting a script about her school day. It broke my heart knowing they'd coached her. Emma, sweetheart, I said gently, you don't have to pretend I'll always be your grandma no matter what. Day 5 brought flowers, white roses, and lilies with a card. Thinking of you, always loved Michael and Nora. I'd never gotten flowers from them before, not even when Robert died. Day 8, a letter from Jake, my 12-year-old grandson, calling me the best grandma in the world. Sweet, but so obviously coached, it hurt. I called Michael out, stop using your kids to manipulate me, be honest, or this is over. 2 weeks in, I got a bombshell. Over lunch with my friend Margaret, she dropped a bombshell. Nora's been telling people at the country club, you're having a mental breakdown, making erratic financial decisions. My coffee cup rattled as I set it down. She's saying they might have you evaluated for competency. Fury burned through me. While they sent flowers and letters, they were building a case to declare me unfit, to seize my assets. I called James. Has anyone asked about my mental state? A long pause. Michael called last week, asked about evaluating your competency. I hung up, staring at those roses, every petal a lie. They weren't trying to win me back, they were setting me up. I spent the weekend planning. Monday, I scheduled a mental competency evaluation with a top neuropsychologist. I hired a private investigator, Patricia Chen, to dig into their finances. Her report was damning. Massive credit card debt, a second mortgage, late tuition payments, worse, a secret bank account where they'd been funneling my money. Paired with guardianship documents they'd been preparing since Robert's death. 5 years of plotting to paint me as an unstable widow. Friday night, I sat at their dining room table, their good china gleaming, candles flickering. They performed like Oscar contenders, complimenting my dress, asking about my health, laughing at my stories. Emma and Jake were the only genuine part, their smiles real. After dessert, I stood. These past 2 weeks have been enlightening. Your calls, your flowers, your letters, they've shown me how much I've been missing. Michael and Nora leaned forward, expecting me to cave, which is why I continued. I met with James to review the trust. I had a psychological evaluation, clean bill of health, and I hired a private investigator. I set Patricia's report on the table. Did you know it's illegal to establish guardianship through fraud? Your secret account, your guardianship plans, your country club gossip about my breakdown, it's all here. Nora stood, chair scraping. I don't know what you think you found. I found 5 years of evidence you've been setting me up to steal my assets, I said. Here's what happens now. You move out of this house, my house, by month's end. Get jobs, live within your means. If you contact me again, I file criminal charges. And my will. It's changed. The entire estate goes to charity. Your greed cost you $47 million. I walked out, their stunned faces behind me, and drove home. For the first time in years, I felt free. Some lessons are expensive, but teaching my son that respect isn't optional, worth every penny.